We are back, and thank you for the patience. We're back to work. We're back to work. No more vacations for the time being, at least. Anyways, welcome back, and a big, massive, happy 2024 to all the artists here around the world, the collectors, very important part of the ecosystem, the builders, the devs. A big, wonderful Happy New Year to all. My name is Adrian Pocobelli, Artist Journal, January 8th, 2024. Broadcasting from the inner half of the nervous system. And let's go. As I was putting together my newspaper, The Imagination here, and by the way, quick show note on that, I stopped at about bookmark number 250. So I have another like 150, 125 bookmarks. So I'm going to divide up everything because it just became too much to even go through. So tomorrow's show will also incorporate, comments and artworks from the last week and a half. So it's kind of going to be like a two-part show to some degree. And so just quick show note on that. So there seems to be I don't know where it comes from, but a certain degree of just kind of FUD on the blockchain to a certain degree in the arts. I do have a theory on it. And actually, we're going to see a very important story from Katya Kazakina, the art detective. I think the market is softening a little bit for the first time that I've ever really noticed I've always been surprised at the resilience, as I like to say. And it's still happening, the market, but it's a little softer than normal. And I think that kind of creates, what shall we say, a certain degree, FUD, a certain amount of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt on, say, as we've seen on Tezos and just in general. So I thought, what better way to start our newspaper of the imagination here with The Failed Artist by Wasteman Goldminovich, an artist, I think I showed the first one on this show about a year ago. We are on 59. We are on The Failed Artist 59, Self-Portrait in the Hospital, and I thought this was a brilliant and hilarious piece. And look at the objects, beautiful, gorgeous new website, the details here, and I want to get back to the artwork, but the text here feels very, for lack of a better term, a very elite-looking gallery, like a top-tier gallery sort of look. I don't know exactly what the font is that they chose here, but it's excellent. The line spacing. Just when you read this, I don't recall it, but apparently I'd fallen asleep in the road and I'd been run over by an inattentive motorist who'd fled the scene. It's just beautiful. The text here. And I'm still getting used to the website, but it's pretty impressive. I don't need to open this up in a new tab now to zoom in. And so here is The Failed Artist. We're on number 59, iconically with the fries, upside down fries on the head, and maybe some ice perhaps on top of the head here, and the classic McDonald's cigarette here. And here the unshaven artist with bad teeth and bloodshot eyes, and the finger, giving the finger is in a cast, kind of hilariously, and kind of an interesting move here too. The North Fake with the writing on the cast. Almost, it would be tempting to say, a bit of a commentary on digital mark making and digital brushstrokes. But so very nice kind of actual touch here on the cast by putting all of these different textures, not just keeping it one, but showing a lot of care is actually where I'm going with this. And look at this. At the back of the hospital room, you see it's a secure unit with the doctors looking on at the psychopathic failed artist here, drinking his wine, cigarettes underneath the hospital bed. And there, hilariously, you see the name, last name first, artist, failed. And then you see the downward trajectory here, cigarettes times 60, so with the medicine being cigarettes and whatever tramadol is, 1 gram. And of course, again, I'm tempted to use the word iconically here, the half-eaten hot dog. And this beautiful contrast here, finally, from a just technical perspective, we saw the technical stuff X on the cast. Interesting combination of textures, but you also get an interesting combination of you get the textured paint, and I think this is Microsoft Paint. I'm not sure because I've never used the oil paint. I didn't realize there's an oil paint function, but it seems like there's a paint function on Microsoft Paint, if I'm not mistaken. But beautifully contrasting that with just the flat, digital brush, you might say, or just classically digital brush with no texture, making a very nice contrast here. And interestingly, too, you see that that kind of hard contoured brush stroke, what I'm tempted to call like almost the original digital brush stroke to a certain degree, if you follow me, put on top of the textured one here with the shadow quite effectively. So 59 works later, it's going pretty well here. Quite brilliant and hilarious with McDonald's again on the casts here. So just a beautifully painted work. It is still available. It is still available. Let's see here. I picked one up, and yeah, there are six gone. So let's see. So you click on listings here. There are 7 left. So really nice piece, and a couple of others that caught my eye here. The failed artist number 58, self-portrait. The time I discovered the magical Tezos tree and brought perdition or damnation upon myself. And here, let us just go full screen here. And here you see the failed artist again. Interestingly, you see basically what looks like a kind of Tezos Christmas tree of sorts, but then almost this demonic figure here. And I'm reading Dante's Inferno right now, which is, frankly, it's pretty amazing. I'm watching lectures, again, from the teaching company, also known as the Great Courses in Wondrium, while I'm reading it, and it's quite visionary. Like I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking about, what Dante says, and it's quite subtle and interesting thoughts on fame, actually, which maybe we get into at some point. There's a lot to get into this episode, so maybe we'll hold off on that. But something I'd almost want to bookmark. So you see the hot dog here, half eaten, the mustard, and the bloodshot eyes. I don't see a McDonald's on that cigarette, but you just know. And there's the mushrooms, right? So eating these mushrooms here. And so kind of a psychedelic religious experience of the failed artist here. Interesting thing going on here with Cain and Abel. Interesting clue with the Cain and Abel, because then you see this other person here, which also looks like the failed artist with second death written on the cast. So maybe the writing is a clue in the black sky. And here it looks like a nude woman looking over at what's going on, almost a reference to le déjeuner sur l'herbe to a certain degree. There she is on the grass, almost a loose quote of le déjeuner sur l'herbe here, and this rooster here with these long psychological shadows, almost reminiscent of Dali and de Chirico. Quite a beautifully put together work, and again, that wonderful contrast between the textured paint and the background, the just solid background, untextured paint. And here, I'm not even sure what that says, but you can probably go to the writing here. We have too much to go through today. But this, it's not even available on. You'd have to put an offer in. And here's one more. This is on secondary for 6 Tezos, the failed artist number 57, self-portrait, pulling Johnny Tezos from the river. And so here we see a rescue attempt by the failed artist, and there is the McDonald's cigarette, and there is Johnny Tezos with a medallion of Tezos around his neck. And here you see the quite beautifully painted, and I'd say pretty bold and originally painted shadows here. Really nicely done. And the beautiful blue eyes, but a slightly different blue in the water here. And again, beautiful little things like this, where you see it's not all entirely covered, this painterliness here, leaving a little bit of gaps. To me, this adds to the whole aesthetic and shows that, very nice painting is how I would put this. The amateur probably wants to put this all, perfect it all, and make it all perfect. But then here, someone who's, a little more professional, you see, leaves things a little loose, as my friend would say. So nice piece and really nice composition here. And interesting again, that dark, menacing sky. And there is the failed artist with maybe no hair, and the fries on the head have fallen off. And there's the eaten hot dog, and the wine, and the fries, and the cigarette butts. So a really just enjoyable series, a hilarious series. And actually, as part of that, I brought up André Breton's Anthology of Black Humor. I've mentioned this before. This is a very important document, in my opinion. It's worth tracking down. I did a search and found this on google.de, the German Google. So you can at least read the introduction if this interests you. City Lights books, where Vival used to work. Of course, Allen Ginsberg and kind of a lot of the San Francisco beatniks kind of centered around that City Lights bookstore. And this is, when was this? 1997 edition. I may have had this edition because I had the exact same cover. It was an awesome book. And here, just to give you a clue very quickly, Jonathan Swift, Breton thought was kind of the beginning of black humor. I guess there's of course, Gulliver's Travels, which is actually a pretty difficult book because there's a lot of contemporary at Swift's time references to the political situation. So it's not the easiest book, surprisingly. I thought with all the animations and everything, I thought Gulliver's Travels would be easier, but there is another very famous essay where he's satirizing eating children, and it's a satire against what the government was doing at the time. I wish I could remember the name. I'll try and remember for next episode. I'm sure someone knows who's watching this right now. But another important thing that's going on here, you see this is an anthology. So you have Marquis de Sade here right at the beginning, Thomas de Quincey, Edgar Allan Poe, Charles Baudelaire, Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland there, Friedrich Nietzsche, interestingly, Arthur Rimbaud, and you see Alfred Jarry, Raymond Roussel. And, I've read actually Impressions of Africa by Raymond Roussel, which is not an easy writer, kind of weirdly dry, but then kind of mind-blowing at the same time. Weird combination. Dally loved Raymond Roussel. I read the first 5 chapters of Locus Solus, and I think it was chapter 5. It was one of the most astonishing experiences I've ever had reading. And then I tried chapter 6, and I just didn't know what was going on anymore. So not an easy writer. I'd love to actually re-pick up those books. But as you see here, Salvador Dali, who was actually an incredibly good writer. So as you see here, and this essay here is an awesome introduction into the importance of black humor, which Breton traces back to, Swift, Jonathan Swift, probably 1725, I think it is, Gulliver's Travels, or 29, Marquis de Sade, this is the 1790s. But as you see here, the Surrealists, they like to group together artists. You see it in Jarry. We looked at this before with the Life and Opinions of Dr. Fostrel, pataphysician, where we see Fostrel's library and Alfred Jarry, by Alfred Jarry, and Alfred Jarry puts his own book inside the library of Fostrel, kind of hilariously, right? But then you see all of these kind of references in there. Remember Max Ernst, another surrealist, in the Beyond Painting, which we looked at, which has the spread, the collage spread on one hand. On the left-hand side, Max Ernst's favorite writers. On the right-hand side, Max Ernst's favorite artists. Right, so this grouping. And as Ballard, another grouper of artists, as J.G. Ballard kind of pointed out, the Surrealists kind of identified this kind of this other tradition that was going on in the arts that had a much kind of darker flavor to it that we find in like the Marquis de Sade. And they kind of like, even though Swift is first here, they often, it kind of gets like this second tradition really is, I think Sade is seen, the Marquis de Sade is seen as this kind of, beginning point, this kind of origin point to a certain degree of this kind of radical rejection and a kind of new direction of taking kind of aesthetics and what art is, right? And what the role of art is, interestingly. And even you could go with the deeper political kind of implications, which in my mind are not so much like the politics of art, because politics has been coming up a little bit recently. The politics of art to me are way beyond left and right. It's more about the politics of storytelling and what we decide to talk about, even beyond any sort of what I'd put the left-right paradigm you can put on top of that. I'd argue art is working on a deeper, fundamental meta level. And I think you see that with Sade. So when I say political, that's basically what I'm kind of saying here to a certain degree. But talking in large generalizations, all to say, this is a very important document. I've talked about it a few times here on this show, and I just wanted to highlight it. It's an excellent book, and it's kind of important, is how I'd put it. Continuing on, thank you everybody who showed up to the Twitter space last Wednesday while I was in Porto. I'm back in Berlin here with Robness V3 on digital art in 2024. It was fascinating. Robness, like you see as I was saying during that space, the consistency, there's a consistent body of work of this kind of conceptual game that Robness is playing with digital art and the blockchain, and just a really interesting individual from an artistic perspective, but also from a lot of interesting opinions as someone who's been around, I think, Bitcoin since 2014. And, doing the rare Pepes very early on, early Bitcoin art on, I think it's Counterparty is the name of that blockchain, which is having some issues right now. I was hearing that there's concern out there about the Counterparty blockchain. But anyways, we have a lot to go through here. Thank you, everybody, for attending. We have another huge show coming up with Artie Hans is going to be on. So I'll put out that tweet probably later today or tonight. I will put out the reminder tweet for that. So that should be awesome, too. A great collector there. So all to say, thanks, everybody, for showing up. And thanks, everybody, for collecting here this work. Blow Your Mind, from the Promoted Stories series. Someone asked me, and it's probably in the bookmarks of sold out, actually. Like, it's a tough market right now. And so thank you, everybody, for picking this up. And someone, as I put in the thank you, felt like I was taking a lot of risks in this work. And someone asked me to kind of like, what do you mean by risks? And what I meant by that was, just weird things. The color, first of all, doing this kind of red as a background, it's not an easy kind of choice to a certain degree, but I liked it. There were a lot of things that there were a lot of irrational leaps that I embraced. That's what I meant by that. So, for example, you see, here's the couple here, and here's the guy. You see, like, the skin here, it would have been tempting from a logical point of view to make this skin here or the color of these bars the same as this, or a kind of red or a pink or yellow, kind of more skin colorish. I decided not to, though. I decided to just embrace that and keeping it the same color as as the text here on this work, and also the crop here. I mean, kind of a Warholian crop. But nevertheless, rationally speaking, it would have been tempting to just remove that and leave, remove the recommended on top here. There's also the rawness. Like, this is a work I could have worked on for another 2 days, but I looked at it and I just thought, you know what? I just like this. And maybe I don't need to have every little kind of dot and I and, I dotted or T crossed. Maybe I just go with this. I think I just like it as it is. And so that was also a kind of risk of sorts where I just go, this is it. That's it. This is the work. And so, really thrilled to get that response here. Thank you, everybody, for collecting. And also here, releasing another work here. This is the Screen Memories AI series, working with AI. And yeah, this is Priestess. And here is the full, and enjoying the color schemes and using Midjourney here to get, and combining some of my previous works in the Screen Memory series to get these kind of really interesting results and playing with the colors here. Thank you, everybody, for collecting. Haiti Rocket, District 468, Multiple Collects, Scamra, for collecting both. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And continuing on here, so some comments here came in after, this is from a couple of shows ago, but there's a couple of interesting comments that I want to mention. First of all, thank you to Hasdrubal Waffle for sending me, just found some spare copies of some Zora pieces in my wallet, and I will send them along as a New Year's Belated Christmas gift. So received, and thank you. Huge. Very nice gift. Your support and kindness have been amazing this year, and I wish you a joyful and safe New Year. Stay cool, stay gold. Likewise, Hasdrubal, just absolutely love your work. And what a discovery that was. I think that was last year. Hard to believe it's only been a year. And also, thank you, Neutro. I think we saw these comments before, but there's a new one here on the 29th as well from Ahek. So referring to the whole idea of the centralization and Solana, and I was saying, what's the big deal? Was basically, if I just sum up my previous comments on, and we're going to see a lot of debate here today as well. And then Ahek pushing back a little bit here. So if a community is nice, welcoming, and rich, we're willing to compromise decentralization. Thanks for clearing that up. So, and as I said here, not an either or in my mind. To me, it's not a huge thing, but Ahek responded, your views are highly influential, and I see your position as politically significant. People really listen to you. This shouldn't be taken lightly. And then Phoebe Hees, maybe this should be as a spaces, and we should do that as a spaces. It's surprisingly booked up until mid-February, but I'm totally down with doing this. And maybe it's good to do it after things kind of calm down. There's a lot of debate now. Sometimes it's nice to come to these things later. But just what I would say on this is, I guess just to clarify, I had a few thoughts on it. I mean, because I was like, well, maybe there's something wrong, but I still don't really see a huge problem. And I thought to myself, like, if I was saying only use Solana, right, and only put your art on Solana, then maybe I could kind of understand a little bit more. But it's kind of back to, like, from the artist's perspective, it's, as I was thinking to myself, it's like, it's a decentralized artist. I'm being a decentralized artist. I'm putting stuff here, I'm putting stuff there. If ETH doesn't work out, I have works on Bitcoin. If Solana doesn't work out, I have tons of work on Tezos. And then there are all these kind of different issues, like as we're going to see here, Howdy Do gets kicked off of Object. Well, so all this issue of centralization, I just feel like it's a little, look, as an ideal, I think it's a great ideal, for power not to be centralized too much, but I'm a pragmatist though, and I think idealism is frankly dangerous, being too ideal about things from a political perspective. Okay, and that's just my personal opinion, and nobody has to agree with me. As I fix my hair here, as I fix that, there we go. So those are kind of my thoughts. Again, like I don't see, if people, this matters if a community is nice, welcoming. And if they're rich, great, because that means they can afford to buy art. And as you'll see here, some people are making some sales that they wouldn't make otherwise. So I don't see what the problem is. As long as it's not like only use Solana and you shouldn't use anything else, then I'd say, okay, maybe that's a different story. But I think everybody should just make up their own mind. And, nobody's forcing people to collect on Solana. So again, and I say the work I'm making on Solana, for me, it's like, it's an opportunity. A different blockchain gives a different kind of vibe. And for me, it's an opportunity to be creative with that vibe, if you follow me. So I'm making work that I wouldn't make otherwise. So I go, what's, is this so bad? And, finally on that point, like it also made me think of the William Burroughs, I thought it was a Pepsi commercial, but I think it's a Nike commercial. I was just looking that up. William Burroughs doing the Nike commercial, that was seen as Burroughs selling out and all this sort of thing. Burroughs it created awareness of Burroughs's work by working with Nike. And maybe if you put a bunch of great artists, a lot of these Tezos artists on Solana, maybe that's good, right? Like maybe that makes Solana cool or cooler, right? And so I just, I guess it's more of a glass half full sort of approach, but again, I'm not asking anybody to agree. Anyways, let's continue here. And we're going to have a ton more on this actually in the following tabs. Thank you, Haiti Rocket and Little Cakes and KF. Kyle Flemmer, Happy New Year. Adrian, thanks for all you've done for the community in 2023. You are more than welcome, and thank you, Kyle Flemmer, and everybody who's helped this show. And there's a lot of people that have really helped, pump this show, so to speak, on X. So that is much appreciated. Dance Vitar, thank you. And JNK and Terry Visual, big shout out. And also Pavel Dudko, loving the MCHX that we started with last episode. Indeed, that was, and the collaboration with Ranix Deer there. So just to pick up the discussion here a little bit more on the multi-chain. Adam Berninger, I don't follow the artists wherever they go, and I won't. I wouldn't knowingly collect from a gallery with unsavory practices representing an artist I love. I wouldn't collect great art largely subsidized for the purpose of propping up a business that isn't art-related, or charitable. I wouldn't travel to most places in the world to collect pieces that are only attainable in person. So I guess there are, apparently there are, because SBF was involved with Solana, but it's sort of like, I'm kind of back to Nike, right? Like, I'm sure Nike has done all sorts of terrible things. I'm sure Disney, but if Disney came up and to work with you, it's different if you start saying, I'm only going to work with Disney, or if Burroughs said, I'm only going to collaborate with Nike for the rest of my career, then maybe that's a kind of selling out, right? And, but again, like the whole sellout sort of thing is just kind of, it's an easy sort of thing. But anyways, we're getting off topic a little bit here. I wouldn't collect great art largely subsidized for the purpose of propping up a business that isn't art related. I mean, none of these blockchains are like, are any of them art related at the beginning, at the outset? It doesn't seem to me. It seems like the art came after. So, I'm not sure I actually buy this argument here. I know I can't do everything and collect everyone everywhere. Instead of stretching logistically onto new chains and platforms in hopes of new returns, show me a real art-centric reason and I'll look twice. Again, the reason digital artists are on Tezos, just my opinion, or ETH, is because, first of all, blockchain technology enables digital artists to sell work. Okay, so if you're a digital artist before, and then you show up and you see, oh, I have a way of legitimately selling my art, it's not about the chain being artistic. It's about like, okay, is there a market for my art? Where's a good place to put my art? So this whole idea, I think Cosimo de' Medici was also mentioning this, like, there's no art-centric reason for, putting your work, say, on Solana. It's like, I'd argue there's no art-centric reason for putting your art on any blockchain. It's a market-centric thing. It's to sell your work to survive. So let's continue here. That doesn't mean I'm not here for the artists. I'm here to advocate for them, advise them on releases for free, share their work with new audiences, show them the respect of collecting their works only when I love what they've made, and attempt to help push their artistry into new territory. As with all the debates, there are multiple valid opinions and approaches, and this post is not negating other perspectives. It's conveying that there are those who still care immensely for art and artists as a whole, and decide not to collect on certain platforms exactly because of that fact. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like I don't know the history of Solana as deeply as everybody else seems to know. But like all I know, again, it's kind of back to what Ahek was saying. Some really nice people there. Okay, and I'm not, generalizations are dangerous, right? It's like, oh, that group, right? It's like, I remember, I think it was Ron Paul in some, back in 2008 in some, election debate. He's like, generalizations, you want to talk to individual, and they're different individuals, and deal with the individual. Because when you start going with the group, then everybody gets categorized, and this is where divisions start to happen. So I see a lot of nice people there. And until I know otherwise, and it's different if Solana's taking over and it's centralized, okay, and then there's no other blockchains left. I just don't see that. I do not see that at all. Scobble. Hot take, most of us artists don't actually care about Sol or ETH or BTC or owning our contracts or limiting our supply or decentralization or who our collectors are. We're just going to follow whatever it takes to survive. So exactly. People are just surviving. Again, it's down to where's a good market for my art? Are these collectors serious? Like these are the kind of the important questions. And remember we were talking to Luke 500 for those that attended the space maybe 3 weeks ago when I was in Toronto. We were speculating on 50 years from now, we may not know which chain these are on. Like it may be totally irrelevant, right? So, so there's a lot of uncertainties. So I'd be very slow to start judging harshly in any direction. Again, artists are just trying to sell their work, which they have to do. Piero, Tezos may not be for you now. People of Tez, a super professional person here, actually, as I've mentioned before, runs a very pro operation with people of Tezos. Tezos may not be for you now, but Hic et Nunc once fed and sheltered you. Go off and explore other chains. This is nothing new. Your spot will be filled by another hungry artist that will see their potential. Maybe Tezos will be for you again one day. You're always welcome home. And again, I don't really see people leaving Tezos, although there are a couple. And actually, we are going to see a couple. But generally speaking, I see people just kind of adding, again, it's like, why would you leave Tezos? It's sort of Tezos is the bread. I think to a large degree, though, Piero is right. As far as feeding and sheltering, I can't think of a more consistent group of collectors than the Tezos blockchain. ETH sounds like it's pretty quiet right now in terms of collecting. Solana's doing well right now in terms of collecting, but who knows if that'll last. Putting your art on Bitcoin, I plan on putting more, but I'm not sure how well if you're not like some collection. So, bread and butter is Tezos to a large degree. Varundo, I joined Hic et Nunc in summer 21 as an artist. Love for the art led to a 2000 collection. Made a hard call that I won't be active in the Tezos space anymore. So here's someone that won't be. Perhaps one day I'll reveal why. Artists, you may always have my love and respect. So a lot of emotions here. And again, it's sort of like it all comes down to here for me. The ethos of decentralization, by me going multi-chain and other artists going multi-chain, that is the ethos of decentralization. It is being a decentralized artist. It's going, if this shuts down, then there's still this. It's kind of not, it's hedging your bets. Like if you're all in just on ETH and being an ETH artist, your sales are probably pretty slow right now, right? It's probably worth your while to go to Tezos as well, right? Or go to Solana as well, or who knows where next, right? So not everybody, so some people are leaving. And I also saw RJ, but I think that was just the RJ label or name, not leaving Tezos entirely, but RJ leaving, we'll have to look at the tweet. I think it's in tomorrow's show. Patrick Amadon, I love Tezos for their contribution to making art accessible the past few years. That being said, I don't think the chain will be functioning in 2027. So I think just trying to, a little bit of engagement farming here. But I think there's an important point, which is exactly what I was just mentioning here. You actually don't know if this chain is going to be around in 2 years or 5 years. It's another reason to diversify. You know, in a weird way, what if Solana is the big winner, the ETH killer, and all this sort of thing? I don't think that's going to happen. But let's say it does. You probably want to have some work on that if you're a digital artist. Like, I don't know, maybe you don't care, but, you know, like it's just, again, it's decentralization is spreading your work around, right? Sabato responds, the sad underperformance of Tezos as a blockchain is a low-key blessing for the artist community there. This is a point that actually we've been making for a while. It's a feature, not a bug, the low prices. There's way fewer scams, fewer rugs, fewer hacks, fewer influencer marketing schemes, fewer fraudulent artists, fewer basic flippers. In other words, the low cost, the sad underperformance of Tezos, it's a low-key blessing because it keeps things cheap. And by keeping the art cheap, I think you make more sales. I think that's why it's still pretty popular. It's still the cheapest blockchain. Like if you're selling a work, part of the reason selling a work on Solana is so great is because you'll probably get $150 or $200 for it, right? Imagine, and I was thinking if I put that same work on Object or on Tezos, would I have gotten $150 or $200? Like almost certainly not. So there's that factor as well. Also a little bit more on Tezos here. Me somehow being on a popularity list, talking about 2023, and my Deluxe Paint 4 drawing exercises passing 10,000 Tezos in volume, surpassing Marina Abramovich's drop. So, of course, Marina Abramovich came to Tezos during the height of the bull market. But all to say, that's pretty cool, right? Here it is. Marina Abramovich only doing 8,450,000 Tezos, probably at a higher fiat because it was in 2021 when Tezos was probably at $6 or something. But nevertheless, put it this way, and we're going to see an article here in a couple of tabs. If the contemporary art market is dying, or at least in decline, or let's just say it is shrinking to a certain degree, temporarily maybe it all blows up again. Where are the galleries going to go? Where are artists going to go? And then simultaneously, what if you have a Bitcoin bull market like a lot of people are seeing with this ETF talk? Where's the money going to be? As an artist, where are you going to get your livelihood? Where's the industry? And you could say, oh, why is it all about the money? Where's the industry going to be? Where's the business of art going to be? And so I just think this is where are they going to come? Are they going to come back? It's an interesting question. So still an opportunity, one could argue, on Tezos. Evelyn O, blown away by the support on the latest series at exchange.art, which is on Solana. 2 years ago at Solana was a very up and down ride for me, so I'm very happy all the new works got insta-collected. Right? Thank you so much to these collectors. There was also a sixth work that I put on auction. It was added to have the dragons, lucky number 6 of minted works instead of the unlucky 5. So very cool work here from Evelyn O. So doing well on Solana. And here is another work. This was posted by Unknown Collector, which is a collaboration between Mikkel Nolson and Evelyn O. And of course, Mikkel Nolson is, as far as I understand or can tell, is kind of an OG artist on Solana. And just to kind of complete the circle here, this show was the two people that encouraged this show when it was a Spotify audio podcast of me just trying to do something, was Mikkel Nolson, Solana artist, or an artist who puts work on Solana, and Chi Moscow Jackson. Those were the two people who were like, hey, that was really cool. Maybe you should do some more of that. And then I did another one. Is like, maybe this should be video. And they're like, yeah, this should be video. And then so I started this. So all to say, if you do like this show, I mean, it was a Solana guy, ultimately. Okay, so it was one of the two people that. So all to say, let's not overgeneralize. I would just say is sort of my personal. People can do whatever they want. That's how I treat it. I treat people as individuals, and at the end of the day, selling a bit of work to art collectors. I don't think the artists are the villains here. Let's put it that way. For the VCs, maybe there's all sorts of shady stuff going on there. That I don't know. But as far as someone making some art, putting it up, and then someone wants to buy it using a certain cryptocurrency, like, it's, again, at this point, I'm not worried about it. Okay. But again, everybody's free to come up with their own decisions. And this is kind of back to the Burroughs Nike thing. Here's Kota Nakazono working with Hermes. Now, is Hermes, maybe there's sweatshops. Maybe there, should Kota not be working with Hermes? This is amazing. Okay, Kota Nakazono, or is it Hermes? I think it's Hermes. My mom corrected me on that. Big shout out to mom out there. Happy New Year, mom. And so how cool is this? Okay, so Kota Nakazono working with Hermes. And here, Naimi Pakniat cannot express how I feel to be working on a real-life product with my sis, Nahid Pakniat, in the last days of 2023, Nahid Pakniat. P.S. It will be out in a few days, and just look at how good this looks. Pixel art combined with kind of what looks like, a very good-looking fashion brand. Very cool. Looks great. And just to finally tie the bow on this, at least for today, I'm sure it'll continue this discussion. But here's Alex Gray, right? Just to bring the market side of it. Here's Alex Gray, and I suspect this is his social media person because reading here, during a psychedelic meditation in 1978, I entered a state where, famous mystical visionary artist, I entered a state where all energy systems in my body felt aligned and flowing. I kind of felt that actually at the gym yesterday. I'm tempted to call it a mystical experience, but probably just the energy, the intellect, the energy that came from the spirit, I felt as a wave just come through me. Fascinating. But anyways, so here's Alex Gray feeling the energy. It was in this state that I envisioned Theologue. A beautiful work. If it's worth seeing in person, it's probably at the Entheon thing. But this is my point. Shop Theologue and cause him shop. Shop now, right? I had this incredible mystical experience. Shop now. So again, I think this is probably the social media person. Am I gonna, say Alex Gray? Alex Gray is trying to survive like everybody else out there. I'm not gonna judge that. I might say kind of not the greatest juxtaposition there and kind of comical. But again, it doesn't detract from that work of art or the artist, frankly. And finally, Allison Gray, since we're discussing Allison Gray is Alex Gray's, I think, wife. And this is something I wanted to show. So, pretty well renowned in the visionary art community, shall we say, in the psychedelic community, really well known. 1,800 views. How many did Alex Gray get? 10,000. People in this scene, you're playing, you might be doing better than you might realize. With this is not uncommon at all for people to be getting this kind of these amount of views in this scene. So just kind of interesting. And looking at the work, Chaos Order, Secret Writing Gallery, Entheon, again, playing with this idea of language and image. Actually, pretty beautiful works here by Allison Gray. Kind of almost has a bit of I don't know if like a kind of a psychedelic digital Kandinsky kind of feel to that composition. Maybe it's the diagonals there. Anyway, interesting work. Let's continue. Empress Trash, 3 years almost now, all sorts of people have tried to get me away from Tezos, and many of those months I've paid my rent and food off Tezos sales when ETH people decide to ignore me or ice me out. I never forget who fed me. Again, bread and butter here. Rent and food, Sky Goodman has mentioned it, you may not get rich selling work on Tezos, but it pays for the groceries and a haircut, and that's not bad. That's actually pretty darn good. And go talk to your physical art friends, in the Berlin art scene here and ask them how many sales they've made in the last, 12 months in 2023. Empress Trash. Also, it doesn't matter if I'm left off lists, certain circles, sales numbers, shows, or platforms, because the people whose opinions I value remind me almost daily how amazing I am, some multiple times a day. I'm confident in how good my art is, along with how much I help other artists navigate this insanity and the impact I know I have overall. If other people want to ignore, dismiss, or underestimate, that's a them problem, not a me problem. And this is the kind of the moral of the story. I'm just going to keep on being grateful for life, doing dope things, and knowing my worth. So artists are just going to keep working regardless. You know, as my friend Patrick Turbo Jambon here is, you just because you have to. It's what you do. Haiti Rocket. Finally, F the cancel gangs, the amateur drug dealer collectors, and your blockchains. Digital art didn't come into existence with NFTs, and neither did I. Trust me, I've done way more for digital art than you and your pump dads combined, and I'll keep doing it all the way to the end. So, all to say, you know, I'll keep doing it all the way to the end. Again, kind of a similar sentiment here. Like, this is all great. But a lot of us have actually been here before we knew anything about blockchain or before blockchain, existed, frankly, or ETH, making digital. So, or at least making before any NFT thing existed, making digital art. And we will continue even if there is no money. Okay. So I thought, and this was kind of hilarious here. So I don't know who Haiti Rocket was replying to, but it was pretty hilarious. Totally rad. Pretty hilarious. And so this also happened. Howdy Do was banned. So from Object. I'm not selling and this is another thing. So, is Tezos the decentralized chain now? But then people are getting banned, from the platform. So this whole decentralization thing, it sounds good in theory, but I think we should be very conscious of the situation. And even Heck brought it up, wonder what Robness V3 thinks of Howdy Do being banned, right? Because maybe Heck is what's going on here? I thought this was decentral, so it's not exactly the most decentral thing if a centralized group says you can't play here anymore, right? So now Howdy Do, I think the reason Howdy Do got banned, but I'm not totally clear, I don't follow it super closely, is because Howdy Do puts these 2-cent offers on artworks, and some people find that annoying. But so Howdy Do, after getting banned, as a courtesy, Object.com has unsolicitedly decided to temporarily lift all the Do account bans and given us a 90-day grace period to sell, transfer, cancel offers, or burn our assets before the permanent ban goes into effect. But guess what? I am not selling, transferring, or burning. I'm not going anywhere. So I thought it was kind of funny, to be honest. I mean, Howdy Do doesn't bother me like it bothers some people. And hopefully, I don't love it. Let me fix the internet here quickly. Settings. Luckily... Okay, let's see if we can get this going here. Here we go. I have a backup now. And let's try this. I use the phone as my backup for my unreliable internet here in Berlin. We came, we saw, we conquered, and it works. So, Howdy Do, it was a good run. Now, just to illustrate, 20,000 artworks collected. This is a huge amount. 48,000 editions from 5,000 artists. Sold only 10. Currently owns 15,000 and artworks and 35,000 editions. So collected 20,000. Currently owns 15,000. Average 28 artworks per day. Active days 719. First and last collected. So, not... maybe annoying, but not a horrible community member, in my opinion. Someone is paying for the art. Now, maybe not very much, and I'll show you I went to Howdy Do's activity. So Howdy Do will put 33 cents or 30 cents offer, but then it gets accepted, once in a while by people. So, here it is, 55 Tezos, $48 on secondary. Howdy Do picks it up for 30 cents. So there is a method to the madness here. Do I love it? Do it in a sense am I doing it? No. I'm an artist. It's kind of in bad taste or bad form, but it's not illegal, is I guess my point here. And it's more than an annoyance if it works. Like, it's not just him being annoying, like it works. And look at how many have been collected and probably spent, a fraction of what the rest of us have spent on art, and having probably a more amazing collection for all we know. Okay, continuing on. The art detective. So Katya Kazakina. These are the big seismic movements happening in the contemporary art market. These are the worries haunting a post-Babylonian art market in 2024. This is a moment when predictions abound, and predictably, some of these tend to be self-serving, verging on spin. Take Mark Glimcher, president of Pace Gallery, one of the top 5 galleries in the world, which plans to open a new branch in Tokyo this spring. In art news, he anticipates the, quote, continued resurgence of Japan as a global art world hotspot, end quote, or take any number of art advisors whose reflex is to position a market contraction as a, quote, buying opportunity. So saying these people are spinning things a little bit. Behind the scenes, however, many market players find themselves anxious and confused. Again, speaking of the contemporary art market, there is a growing fear about gallery closings and collectors dumping art. Younger dealers who have never lived through a market hiccup lament the drop in Instagram sales. Investors bristle at unsatisfactory returns on art assets. Quote, and we have a quote here later in the article, history will look back at this time and be like, that was so Babylonian. Those people were so self-indulgent, and it was also frivolous, end quote, said Natalia Sakaza, senior director of Fleiss Valois, a Paris gallery that opened a New York branch last year. She continues, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but I don't think that the kind of money we've been dancing around will come back. Everybody needs to be more considerate and modest and really examine what's valuable. And then further, at the most basic level, it all boils down to supply and demand. And then she continues, Sakaza. There's a complete oversupply on the primary and secondary market. And this is something I've been kind of saying here for at least a couple of months is, quoting Gerhard Richter, there's too much art. There's a little too much art out there right now. Supply has increased with the perception of increased demand. But now that the demand has been met, supply is overwhelming the buying population. In other words, now the supply is chasing down the buyers, whereas before the buyers had to chase the sellers. There's also a sense that the buyers just awakened from a fever dream. Quote, people bought really intensely the past 3 or 4 years, said the owner of a bi-coastal emerging art gallery, and some collectors are saying, what did I just do? As they contemplate selling, collectors encounter a market that's gone illiquid seemingly overnight. And finally here, I don't think that the kind of money we've been dancing around will come back. And quote, this is London-based art advisor Morgan Long. Quote, there's been a lot of buying and people have some regrets about things they've spent money on. Okay, so we did see that. Some sales are related to the ongoing war in the Middle East and collectors' fury at the art forum letter signed by thousands of artists. So the politics is getting involved with a lot of collectors. I think we saw in one article by Katya that, I don't know if I read it here, but where collectors were asking, where do you stand on certain political situations in order to decide whether to collect from them or not. So others have been purely market-driven concerns. In both scenarios, collectors are considering selling even at a loss, dealers and advisors said. So I think, and let's just look at this last quote here from owner of a mid-sized gallery. Quote, there's a sense of urgency to deaccession and concern for the future of the market. End quote. One of his seasoned clients uses art as an investment vehicle. The buyer in question is strategic about what he buys, and most of the works have gone up in value, but he's made some mistakes and is now razor focused on the 10 to 20 artworks that he's not going to make any money from, the dealer said. The main thing on his mind, how to get rid of them. His main fear, that they're going to be worthless. So, pretty interesting here. Again, but you can get, the failed artist Wasteman Goldminovich for 3 Tezos, so it's kind of low on your risk scale there. And one guy going into, who was buying Christopher Wool works, is now moving over into the Miami food scene. Definitely been more into food recently for sure. Sakai said in a text message. Signed leases in COVID and now just living through the passion. I still like art, don't get me wrong, but don't find art so exciting now. So, as I've long said on this show, this is a boom and bust business. And you gotta, as my friend Christopher Winter, he's back in 2008, was buying a sports car with all the sales he was making with paintings, bought a apartment, and then all of a sudden a deep winter in sales. He thought it would go on forever. It didn't. And now things are coming back. Now, so a boom and bust business. Zed Magic, finally, people are starting to realize that massive NFT markets on multiple chains will be an inevitable state. We've been building against this thesis since we started Magic Eden. And people talk about a replacement for OpenSea. Robness3 was talking about Rarible at some tweet maybe a few months ago. I think Magic Eden really has perhaps the opportunity to replace OpenSea. We started the company on Solana, the fastest, cheapest chain by a mile. We aped into ordinals hard in February 2023. We're launching our ETH marketplace with Yuga Labs in 2024. So pretty impressive, Magic Eden, as far as a marketplace. And again, multi-chain, interestingly. Continuing on, now this is Rare's. These are, what are these called again? The Node Monkeys. So Rare posted this. This is a PFP collection on Bitcoin, and it's been doing really well. I think it's a quarter of a Bitcoin now, or 0.23 BTC. It's, put it this way, I think it's a brilliant artwork. I think it's really brilliantly done. These old school pixels here. It's quite brilliant, which is why I'm showing it. Here's another one. I just thought they were kind of these retro pixels. We talk about how not all pixels are the same. So, pretty good looking PFP project. Put it this way. I guess this is why I'm showing it. It's kind of like the kind of PFP project I wish I'd thought of. Okay. It's quite brilliant in its just execution. It kind of looks like these kind of, again, distorted or 2-to-1 ratioed pixels in some places. So pretty cool there. And finally, there's just too much to talk about here today. And I didn't even, again, I used like 2/3 of the bookmarks today. I just cut it off. Okay, Blaine, I can talk now. The new object is live with the new community curation and fee sharing feature. And this is quite awesome. The first work that I showed there, Blow Your Mind, that I put the other one I listed on Tezos, so there was no curation fee, but the first one I listed on Object, I put 10%. I noticed I got 2 sales from people putting tweets out with their links on Twitter, and then they get their 10%. I put it up to 10% to give a bit of extra incentive. These people put a tweet, costs them nothing, 2 seconds of their time. They get some money, maybe I get an extra sale out of that. So I think it's all quite brilliant what Object has done here with the curation. I think they did an outstanding job. I think the UI, as you saw me going through and we'll see it here more today, going through the Wasteman Goldminovich's painting there, it was a very carefully done update. I think they did an outstanding job. Keeping with the 1.0, which was quite brilliant, and a lot of the reason for the success, I'd say, of Object as a platform is the website. It's very, very, very brilliant people involved there. So curation is now possible. So we'll look at this in the coming days here. And Popple put out a curation. And what's cool is because these works were done on Hen, Hic et Nunc, there wasn't a way to group them together. But now Popple curated his own works here. And then now, because I would, look through I'd go through his collection looking for this exact series. And now he's able to put it together. And I did a little experiment just on a private curation page. It's pretty simple to use. Probably what I'll do today, after this show is done, is I'll take all the Object works and I'll probably create a curation out of it and put it on a page on my Object. And it's like, here are the works that you saw in the show. And then, maybe I get for whoever puts, I guess, the curation at, so how cool is that? So might try that out today. Would be a good idea. A strange thing. Again, there's too much in here, but very, very interesting tweet from Strange Thing. Renaissance Reimagined, a study in AI authenticity. In the quest to perfect the digital rendition of Renaissance art, I present two AI-generated images, both derived from the same meticulously engineered prompt. And here they are. Look at how different these are. You see here, this is just like a vibrant oil painting. And here, this is nice, but it doesn't have that same vibrancy. The aim is to highlight not just the evolution of my artistic process, but also the capabilities of two distinct AI models. We're an hour in? How is this possible? Okay. The aim is to highlight not just the evolution of my artistic process, but also the capabilities of two distinct AI models in capturing the essence of a bygone era. Midjourney V3 has been the cornerstone of my digital artistry, a trusted tool that allowed me to explore the synergy between modern motifs and Renaissance aesthetics, which I will always be thankful for. However, even with the refined prompt engineering in Midjourney V6, there remains an elusive quality that doesn't quite mirror the authenticity we associate with the works of old masters. This is where the second image, crafted by an undisclosed AI model, distinguishes itself. Now, which is the first and which is the second? Despite receiving the same prompt, okay, so this is the second image here. Despite receiving the same prompt, the model exhibits a profound leap in replicating the Renaissance period's authenticity. Here the textures are more than visual, they bear an uncanny resemblance to the aged varnish and the carefully aged textures one would expect in a century-old painting. Now I think that is the piece here. This model doesn't just simulate the Renaissance style, it embodies it, complete with the richness and depth of the era's distinctive brushwork, which is essential for authentically conveying the Mandela effect. It offers a portal to an alternative historical narrative. It really does, and I believe this is the second image here. That's what's so astonishing about this series to me, that Strange Thing has been doing, and it sounds like there's quite a bit of artistry going on here. They look like authentic Renaissance paintings, and in that respect, it's pretty astonishing. As he puts it, a portal to an alternative historical narrative. For art collectors, this comparison underscores a significant advancement in AI art. While Midjourney V6 continues to excel in its domain, the undisclosed model emerges as a superior craftsman for creating artwork that demands a high fidelity to historical art forms. It is this undisclosed AI that now carries my artistic legacy forward, promising art collectors not just a vision, but a tangible slice of the Renaissance, reimagined through contemporary technology. So, the undisclosed model. So, using undisclosed tools here, and I don't blame Strange Thing for not disclosing. I mean, why should he? If he's done all the hard work of discovering these tools, he's saying they're AI, but yeah, so stunning results there. And yes, Midjourney V6 is out. Very different than prompting V5. It understands language much better, which means your punctuation, syntax, and grammar matter much more. If prompted correctly, you can control almost every element in your image. So let's continue here. We have some art, finally. Yuri J. Put out this beautiful, gorgeous work here. This is an edition of 300. Sent one to me as well as many, many others for Christmas. I think it's called Jingle All the Way. A stunningly beautiful work here from Yuri J. For Christmas. Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Here's another one. And let's just see here with a piano and some, dragged elements here and some distortion and everything, different patterning, just beautiful textures with the piano in the middle. The music of this work here coming out in the piano. Just a beautiful, really cool work from Yuri J. Final day of the year from GloomTube, a calendar of sorts, a dark calendar here. And here you see GloomTube looking on GloomTube's year with all sorts of things here, lightning, and just kind of an ominous look at the new year here with a prostrating GloomTube, maybe dragging oil with a target on him with the calendar underneath. So just a dark work here from GloomTube. And here is Rat Cloak Tumbleweed with a beautiful painting with some cool text on it. And again, playing with these kind of drips here of sorts. And it's beautiful. We can just zoom in here. And again, using Photoshop brushes and just kind of a cool 19th century, very rat cloak sort of subject here. And there is maybe the Marshmallow Man or the Michelin tire guy. And here, a toilet and some sandals and some really nicely done text here. And look at that great shadow, combining the blue underneath and mixing things together here. And almost distorted over here, this pan. And interesting, and there's a cat. So just all very interesting. Rat Cloak signed 2023, always trying new things. Love the signature there. Buy on secondary for 38 Tezos. Sold on primary for 25. So still available at a reasonable price here. And continuing on, Truxton Station, another one using Photoshop brushes. This one's 1500 by 1500. And this is a one of one, I believe, at auction for 69 Tezos. So this is available right now. And perhaps a portrait of someone, again, playing with these digital drips. And there's a gas station. And again, kind of having a bit of a Midwestern kind of feel. And just having that feel, which you see actually throughout a lot of Rat Cloak's work of, gas stations and this sort of thing. So all to say, beautiful work and nice sky. Very subtle. There is a little bit of texture up there. Almost flat, but not entirely. So nice colors there too, as usual. An interesting take on, you see Rat Cloak, like I have the St. Christopher work. Beautiful, beautiful Microsoft Paint work. You see a similar kind of, doing a whole lot of brush work here. That one was done, I think, with like a pixel brush. This one is Photoshop. Daniel Myth with another cool work here. So this, what happened here at auction for $950. Is this a one of one? Let's just see. No, this is not a one of one. So just at auction here. And I noticed, yes, this is maybe an edition of 10, I would guess. Not exactly sure here. Owners. It's harder to tell how big the edition is, I think. Right? It seems a little harder to tell the edition size from object, but all to say, nice piece here as we zoom in here. And I think made on Procreate, but with a pixel brush. So almost emulating the Microsoft Paint, but with pixel brush on Procreate, interestingly. And again, if we open, I think I opened the Myth here. Yeah, and we got this awesome Mr. T, which just came out. Yeah, edition of 10. That is where the edition is on the main page there. Yeah, so just another super cool work here with Mr. T and the gold chain there, maybe a Nike shirt and some boxing gloves. And just very cool. Great. Love this kind of background, bright colored background series. Very, very cool. And a bit of a boxing. They're all boxing, which is interesting. Continuing on, Morlacos with probably a reference to Hunter Thompson, Gonzo's Desert. Gonzo's Desert. And let's just, and there looks like Hunter Thompson with a shotgun in the middle of the desert and a lawn chair and one big cloud, almost a Myth feeling in the sky there. With the aviators on, very cool to see Morlacos' work. This is available on secondary. And again, the edition is maybe an edition of 10, if I had to guess. Cannot load owners. That is probably my internet. Also an interesting painting here. This was on Instagram, Shellac Pokey. Kind of more of a mystical work. Unfortunately, maybe I can make that slightly bigger. There we go. Interesting kind of magical looking work here. Kind of surreal looking by Shellac Pokey on Instagram. This was an interesting painting. Oil rig by the Ghost of John Constable. So that is the name of this artist. And I thought just an interesting subject matter here of an oil rig in the sea and having trouble making this bigger here. Could be my internet here. Let me just make sure all is well. But cool subject matter. Interesting subject matter. And let's just try this again. oil rig. So unfortunately, I can't make that bigger. Is that the internet? There we go. Maybe it doesn't go much bigger. Maybe that was the issue. So just cool, interesting painting from an artist I hadn't seen before, John Constable. This one was super interesting by RJ, The End. So remember I was mentioning RJ as a brand, so to speak, or as a label, is basically sounds like done on Tezos for now. And so put out this interesting work here, and seems to be a reference to Van Gogh's ear, you know, at the end when Van Gogh cut off his ear, but modernizing it with a AirPod, or this actually looks like the Huawei version or some version of an AirPod headphone. And here we have the desktop again, and here, to produce work you can live with today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, this is the only goal. So I assume that's either Van Gogh or RJ. I'm not sure exactly who this is, but I assume one of the two on that retro computer desktop there. Continuing on, Uxine, we have a new work, The Experience, minted on January 5th. Kind of has a bit of a Donkey Kong sort of feel to it. There we go. Doesn't it? Has a bit of an old video game feel to it in terms of the structure here. And then you have these desktop computers making almost these different office-like setups. The Experience, available for 58 Tezos on secondary. Let's continue here. Just a cool work by mech.txt, again playing with scroll bars and, you know, interface objects and creating images out of user interface objects from, you know, Windows or Mac or computers, but looking like Mech made his own. You know, being inspired by Windows maybe, but that doesn't look like Windows, right? So Mech always taking it that extra step further. And again, making one of these almost classical looking architectural kind of temple structures. Continuing on, we have Santiago, Mirrored Experience, and this is a one of one. I think now at 51 Tezos, went to Edouard, who beat Aw Heck at the last second there. So you always got to stay on top of your auctions here. So look at this. And so the zoom in function working pretty well with Santiago's work here. You see it's almost like vector there. So interesting piece, interesting pink background, kind of interesting combination of textures here, but all turned into vector at the end. PNG art on Inkscape. Here is Nuv 1914, and let's make this bigger. More super experimental work here from Nuv 1914, as you see here in the just random kind of looking cutouts here in this big gradient pink frame. One of one, this is 7 Tezos and 80 cents, Recuerdo. One, and here you see some of Nuv 1914's other one of ones, very experimental here. And very cool. I mean, just such a unapologetically original artist. You know, when I took a break for like a few weeks before, it was Nuv 1914 that almost gave me the biggest refreshment and most excitement to come back to at one point, which surprised me. But there you go. So continuing on, Kurt Hustle Collective with a brilliant song here, or audio. My culture. Pretty nice. We'll see if it plays any. Kind of sounds a little bit like dub there. Culture, Blue Horizons, maybe a mix of dub and house. Virtual Mansion Lounge. Very cool work. And this is the one I was actually thinking of. Culture, Poolside Temples. This was sounding amazing. Let's see if it plays. Kind of 80s. Pretty brilliant. I assume that's the same person here, or art. Really, really nice. I assume this is the same artist who did those early commercials on Kurt Hustle Collective and maybe still does stuff. But same kind of real good sense of, at least from my perspective, of melody and everything. Just really cool, great musician. Those are on Object. Sold out at 1 Tezos. Is that possible? Or 3 Tezos? Wow. And what's the other one? Available for 3 Tezos still. And so, yeah, just super cool. Flora Marquez, Fashion Victim. This was pretty hilarious. And here is the Fashion Victim. Maybe a frog of sorts and different kind of clothing here by Flora. Nice to see new work here. And really nice evolution here. A lot of textures, almost like a watercolor or painterly type feel. Just a cool work. And this is $275. And the edition size, I am not sure right now. Here's a cool work by Louis Osborne, playing off of Mario Brothers. Person number 12, and this sold in an auction, I think, for 420 Tezos. So pretty good for a 1 of 1 in a tough market. It's kind of a tougher market, but, you know, again, look at the resilience. You saw what was going on in the contemporary art scene. Sounds like real hard times. Here, I mean, you're still making sales. People are still buying. And again, if we get a Bitcoin bull, that'll probably, like, where's the money going to be? You know, not to be overly money centric, but it matters, you know. And again, you know, you could say, oh, am I being too money centric? But the point is, like, as I like to call it, the market, you know, the people making money, it's, as I call it, you know, the beating heart of the scene. Okay, like the more monies, it's real incentive, you know, especially for people living in, you know, the global south, live in a country where you're not making, you know, where you don't need to make, where you can make $40 a day US and you're actually doing all right. You can make rent, you know. Continuing on. So here, Katarina Create. This is for Sloth, another New Year. And I thought this was brilliant. As you see the 4 seasons here, I assume. This looks like winter, maybe this is spring, maybe this is summer, maybe this is autumn. Brilliant. I've never seen the 4 seasons done like this, so really nice work. And 1 person in 4 seasons. Happy another new year, my friends. My page for the January issue of Sloth Scene. Hope we have a great year. Indeed. Turkarak. I thought this was brilliant because I've never seen yawning as the subject matter for an art piece. Quite well done. And just yawning is contagious. And 10 Tezos, 1 of 1. Pretty cool. Here is Lepro. Our Lepro chant with maybe a self-portrait. And let's see if we can zoom in. So you can't zoom in when it's too small. I thought just a wonderfully small and cool, kind of interesting signature here. Oh, here we go. Maybe we can do that. Oh, it's hard to zoom in here, but as you see, there is a head and it's very dithered with a little bit of animation, interestingly, on the signature. So that is 20 Tezos, and I think it's a 1 of 1. Continuing on, Kyle Flemmer and Mac, Wild Missing number 3B29, and just a cool combination here. You can see Mac and Kyle Flemmer in this piece. Cool work. Let's just see, 55. Not sure what the edition size is. Owners, there are 5 owners, though. It's probably an edition of 5. I'll have to get used to this new interface on Object. Nicholas Sassoon, let's see what 2024 brings. So another abstract work here, another cool kind of retro software animated abstract. Here is Cap'n, also known as Figments, Perihelion. And let's see what this looks like. If we can zoom in here, we can a little bit. So another animated abstract kind of pixel artwork using retro software from Figments. This is available on secondary for 13, sold out at 6. And continuing on, UgoDG.eth, and let's see if we can make this bigger. We can't. Oops. And let's see if we can get that back. And here it is. So pretty cool animated abstract work here by Ugo. looking like, kind of looks like a little bit like Deluxe Paint 4, but hard to say. Interesting experimentation as usual from Ugo42, so we like to call him here. Element Lee, Happy New Year. I thought this was brilliant. You know, experimental pixel art from Element Lee and doing just a firework of pixels, making it look easy. I thought brilliant and beautiful from Element Lee. Not sure if it's been minted anywhere. And let's do this. Let's continue here. Another one from Element Lee that I thought was quite brilliant. Again, making it look easy. All of these experiments here. Space of Speech. Interesting color and everything. Just really cool. This is Kyle Flemmer as well. Super Happy New Year. So playing off of Mario Brothers. They're just awesome. Somehow combining, kind of doing a little bit of glitch ROM here. Mario gets the princess, but it's also the New Year. Very cool piece. Haiti Rockette Network. So continuing the series here, there's something just kind of gorgeous about it. It looks like, you know, I think part of the kind of strangeness of this aesthetically from a digital perspective, I suspect it's the, remember Rada saying the transform tool to nearest neighbor in Photoshop? Like when you take these tiny icons and make them big, there's something kind of surreal about it. And that's kind of what this looks like to me, is it's being nearest neighbor transform, so we don't get any fuzziness on making it large. And then we get this kind of cool background here, almost like Photoshop canvas inspired. And then these windows coming through and then some glitched out text. So network, there are a few. You see power, recycle bin, inbox, mouse. These are mostly one of ones. This is an edition of 15, this is an edition of 20, but mostly one of ones here. Here's mouse. This is something just kind of surreal, like a great contrast here with these big pixels. We were talking about big pixels, I think, last episode, and Haiti Rockette using these big pixels, really just awesome. There's something kind of gorgeous about it. Because here you get pretty tiny pixels. So putting, you know, these kind of big pixels in a high-res image, maybe that's the contrast that's working so well here. POW, I mean, proof of work perhaps, waste, recycle bin. So again, just playing with these icons, and here is an entire series. So just cool work from Haiti Rockette, and here's inbox. And there is the icon here, kind of remixed, recolored, beautiful, kind of reddish pink, almost a neon red there, mixing with the purple. Classic combination. Donkey Kong by Chaz. So we hit the hour and 20-minute mark. Well, I think we're going to hit, maybe we can get to an hour 30 and finish. Another cool addition, as we see almost a we do see a Donkey Kong, almost like Hard Hat Mac was a variation on that on the Apple II. And there is Donkey Kong, just a beautiful image here, homage to that video game. And another one by Chaz, Plants vs. Zombies. So another cool work here. And at first I thought this was the chess game and made me think of Popple, but this is something different. Plants vs. Zombies, never played that one. At auction for 25 Tezos, looks like a one of one. That's pretty cool. I don't know if I've seen a Chaz one of one before. Video Gamer Dogs, this is by Dan Anthony Kelly, who I don't think I've ever seen before. I just thought an interesting work here. And it looks like maybe these are dogs playing a video game, and here is the video game in the middle. Just interesting piece. And this is for 2 Tezos. And a few have sold. And let's continue here. This is Braindead.gif, and I think Braindead actually picked up a work. Account I've been seeing more and more in the last few weeks here. So here, a cool, just a simple structure here. Almost looks like circuitry, maybe a battery here, seems to say something on it. System V8, HGUI, and this is 3 Tezos, and this is on, so one sold here, not sure how many are available, but 3 Tezos on primary. Nifty Monkey, whose works often sell for huge amounts of money here with a work, I think this is a one of one. This was on Manifold, interestingly, and always has these kind of manic pixel artworks. This sold for 3 ETH, so continuing to do well. Remember Cosimo de Medici picked up a work, I think it was like, I can't remember, it was like 10 ETH or something. Huge amount of money, and it got like I think several million views, if I'm not mistaken. Now this one is a newer one. So 3 ETH still. So the market's not dead though. Okay, that's, that's significant. Strano, with a work here, a animated abstract in black and white, and Strano was showing other work, but I don't think I have it in this one. It'll be on tomorrow. That was on X. Drop Zone. So this is by Elna Frederick. I thought it pretty cool. Elna, I'd say, is pretty well known for this kind of optical illusion style. I quite like the composition of this one, and almost the disorientation of skydiving. Really cool composition, and you almost get, again, that sense of movement of all these people. Pretty brilliant, I have to say. 50 Tezos on primary. Not sure the edition number. Lorna Mills, with what looks like, what do they call it, Big Ben in London, with an interesting orange background there. That is on X. And here is Martin Bruce with a new work here, Chicken Sight Fish. New experimental work here, as usual, combining video and digital collage painting techniques. Super original. And a touch outrageous. Maybe we already saw this one, Chicken Sight Fish. Here's another one. Anti-allergic. This is January 3rd, so this is definitely new, and this is 10 Tezos on primary. Some more interesting experimentation, cool gradient here, almost trademark Martin Brook. Continuing on, Datura, Ultra Connections. This is on Zora, and probably part of the Bridge Collective drop. Exactly. So here, and of course, Datura is an artist we've been looking at since for over a year, I'm sure. So continuing on, with the experimentation of almost representational animated abstract. Here is new work from Klaus, who has just been putting out a ton of work. It looks like it's almost all selling, if not everything. Cool big pixels here with a little bit of dithering. Really analog, very cool analog video glitch looking work. Gorgeous composition 31, selling to Somfei for 18 Tezos. Here is another one, number 33. Again, playing with these big pixels and distortions, 18 Tezos to burst. So you see here, I brought up the page. I think they're all sold out, except for this one here, composition 37. Pretty impressive. Putting out a lot of works, and the market loves it. This was a brand new one, composition 49. Felt like we were at 23 just the other day. So again, gorgeous colors here, and let's just see what happened. 21 Tezos to Zach Lloyd. So Klaus is hot. Klaus has a hot market. Look at this though. It's beautiful. Composition 46. Saul, 21 Tezos. So this is awesome. Very nice work here. Aesthetically just awesome, and conceptually awesome too. So cool work there. Do we have another composition 45? And this sold to X Mortal for 21. So just a gorgeous series here by Klaus, who's been around for a while and all of a sudden just kind of hit on something really great with that series. ISU, this is by Tugcan with analog video hardware. So just another interesting, kind of a different take on analog video glitch that I hadn't seen before. This is 2 Tezos. And not sure the edition number. Excuse me. Little Cakes, The Feels 13. Let's see if this plays. Wake up, everybody. It's Little Cakes. So feels like a gallery, doesn't it? Really has a gallery feeling. This could easily show in Berlin, and people wouldn't bat an eyelash if this was showing in some, contemporary art kind of museum gallery situation. They wouldn't bat an eyelash. Continuing on, Score, Lucky Cats. So new work here, sold out, and let's just see. Not sure. Is this, so offers are coming in, and let's just play this. So Score, of course, I think out of Japan, VJ, uses Touch Designer, just a really cool artist here. This is, and a whole bunch, my friend loves these cats. My friend, you've seen some, who paints the memes. I've shown his work on this show before. Ben would love this. He actually collects those kind of cats. So that is hilarious. Really nicely done here by Score. Instantly recognizable as Score Touch Designer Adobe 3D Scan. So playing with the 3D scanning. Into the AI we go with a cool work in progress from Danielle King. Exactly. This is beautiful. Interesting, very painterly, just beautiful. What else is there to say? It kind of looks like the portrait of a woman. It's always a tricky thing when this happens, when you're making work and you hit this point and you're going, wow, that's gorgeous. And sometimes it can be hard to finish. Let's see how this turns out. Hopefully we see it. Tukes putting out a bunch of work. This one's gorgeous. A Surreal Breakfast, I think this is called. I mean, hard to believe this is AI. This looks painted. Really, really nice piece here from Tukes. And Tukes has been selling these 100 Tezos. This is still available and has been selling a lot of these 100 Tezos one-of-ones on Object. So the market, again, very resilient, if you ask me. Weird Allegiance's Marina Amadova. This is on Sol, 10 sold at 0.05, so bringing in half a Sol, so about, $60, let's say. Let's see if it loads up here. Beautiful piece. And here, beautiful AI piece by Marina Amadova, maybe a young princess sort of figure here. Winged Allegiances, Deities Across Realms, AI artist Marina Amadova, 2024. So nice work there. And here, Mikey Wilson, Man in Balaclava near Kensington and Allegheny. And here, the K&A gang, let's just see if we can make that bigger. So cool AI painting here by Mikey Wilson with a balaclava. I would love the white sky there, that winter sky. Beautiful, and this is sold out at 7 Tezos, 77 cents. Nice work there. I think edition of 7. Uxine picking one up, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Rat Cloak, nice collectors there. Kel's Safe Hands. This was sent to me by Kel's. Awesome work. Look at this. AI, I'm pretty sure. Let's just see here if we get any AI and digital collage. Here we go. So pretty nice piece here and almost a Uxine reference. Kind of looks like a big pirate ship here. And here, everybody on board here. And just a really cool work. Nice AI piece with collage. Nice combination. You see the potential of combining AI and collage here. Very nice piece. 50 Tezos on secondary and sent out to several people. Thank you, Kels. And also, strange thing, we're back. Kind of an interesting looking work here. Very interesting. Big shoulders. Interesting AI fashion from Strange Thing here. More kind of radical designs here. This looks like a notebook of some famous fashion designer, right? Almost has a 1950s feel, that kind of Vogue, big sleeves sort of thing. Very interesting work from Strange Thing. Again, combining some relief sculpture there. And also another work by Strange Thing, just very interesting. And again, probably using, having discovered kind of a new kind of way of processing these Renaissance art paintings, are really just showing the technique that is required actually to make great AI art. It's not as easy as it looks. And here is Lily Illo painting walls today and sending love. So another cool work with some beautiful AI distortions, several fingers, 4 eyes, and everything. Maybe a pun on 4 eyes a little bit there. HP Lovebucks. I adored this painting. A physical work here. This is for sale for 375 Tezos. It is a 1-of-1. This is for the physical. And here it is Evel Knievel on this work here. And we have a closer up digital version, Leaping Fountains, oil pastel on blue paper. So interesting. This is on blue paper. And here is the digital edition. And I did a trade there with HP Lovebucks, whose work we saw the other day. Remember, it was the Dukes of Hazzard going over the cliff. Now here, it's Evel Knievel. And if you go to HP Lovebuck's Twitter, you'll find actually the video on the post that this had of Evel Knievel going over and broke like 40 bones in his body, but became famous. But it made him a star. A truly American story, Evel Knievel. brilliant subject matter for an artwork. As we zoom in here, I think my friend Ben has also done this subject hilariously. It is art time, artwork by Heavy Polly. So someone else, decline, accept. I think that's a meme. Video games, Ochia's Hohei. We've been looking at some of their work before, and not sure if we've seen this one. Pretty cool, all these different video game consoles. Maggie Margaret, we've seen a few different dinner tables here. Here we have a couple. Interesting, it's always the same. It's a brilliant composition, and I love actually kind of retackling it with different food on it, with different colors. South Central LA, Mercado La Paloma, colored pencil and oil pastel on paper. A love letter to one of my favorite restaurants in LA, Hullbox, Los Angeles. How cool is that? So really nicely done. Big fan of this stuff. And that's the thing, like, great art will always have a market. That's that's an important lesson I want to say of this episode here. Here, Mark Belden, new one for 2024, gouache on St. Armand paper. Awesome color combo. Big fan of this color combo, orange and gray. Really, really nice piece there. And we're getting a ton of these, like what I want to call like spray paint airbrush artists. Brock Saunders, improvised chew toy, 18 by 24. So it looks like someone's shoe has been chewed and then done in this kind of airbrush style. Here's Machine, who also has that airbrush style. It feels like a real kind of trend, so to speak. And here is, I mean, what a wild composition. Machine as what looks like a Tesla truck, Cybertruck maybe. Here's another one, Ricardo Passaporte. And again, looks like kind of like an airbrush here. So also interesting. And Bondozo Bandido, who also does this kind of airbrush style. Interesting Robert Crumb reference there. Just interesting, very prolific, this artist. Here's another nice piece. Intellectuals are muy boring. So awesome piece here. Just a really cool painter. I thought this was brilliant. Felicia Forte, calling it Girl Grandpa. And so the Girl Grandpa style, that is hilarious, which I've seen. That is a really nice painting. And cool subject. Great title. And here we've seen Ruden Christensen before, Hello 2024. Very nice piece with the Kristen Hillergerdy Gallery. They have an opening on Thursday if you're in Berlin. I'm gonna go to that. And here, Verdu YN Gallery, Chig, no title, just another interesting artwork here on Instagram. And here is Joao Salazar, Life is Born Around 2023. So interesting, I guess it's the work in progress. Maybe it's the animation showing just cool work by Joao. And then it all fades. I mean, so potentially destroying the work for the digital. Not sure what's going on, right? I mean, is that a digital effect or is he actually destroying the works here? Very interesting and hard to say, almost like this claymation type thing. And that finally is your show, my friends. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for coming back. And until next time, take care.